Hi, David. So you're the director of By Rook or Left Hook, the story of chessboxing. And thank you so much for your time. And first of all, what a great subject to make a documentary about. It's about being smart and being sporty at the same time. And I think it's an maybe impossible combination. Is that true?
An impossible comedy. Well, first of all, thanks so much for accepting my film. It really means a lot to me to have the film play there because the inventor of chess boxing, Ipe Rubing, was from Rotterdam. He was born in Rotterdam, and so it means a lot to me to have the film screening there.
Yes.
So in terms of whether or not it's an impossible sport, it's he did it, right? So it's these two things that seem like complete opposites, mental and physical disciplines coming together. And he created this hybrid sport that is alternating rounds where you do chess. You start with, for the people who don't know, you start with chess for 4 minutes, and then you get up, you put on your boxing gloves, and they take the board out of the ring, and then they come back in, and then they box for 3 minutes in a boxing ring. And then after 3 minutes, the bell rings, they take off their gloves and they sit down and they play chess again and they continue their game and they keep going back and forth until you have a winner by checkmate or knockout. And so it's something that sounds crazy. It's what intrigued me about it is I saw a picture of it in a newspaper, if you remember what newspapers are. I saw two guys sitting in this boxing ring, shirtless, with one his arms raised in victory, and at a chessboard in a boxing ring, and I just couldn't figure out what I was looking at. And this was like, it was so strange, and I'm attracted to that kind of weird, absurd thing that like. But when you think about it more, there's like something to it, right? So I'm like, so the more I thought about it, I read the article, and I'm like, you know what, this is like pretty fascinating.
How many years ago was this?
This was in I discovered the article in 2009.
Okay.
So, and then I followed the sport just peripherally. I actually read that article and I went home to my then girlfriend, now wife, and I told her, you know, I think this is going to be my next film. And so I just started following it, and online there was the World Chess Boxing Organization, which is based in Berlin, and I was following the news. Not much was going on. And then about a year later, I saw that Ipe, who invented the sport, was having his comeback fight, his first fight in, I don't think it was 7 years or something. And they had this small event in Berlin, and I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity to go see what this is all about. So I got in touch with them, went down to they said, okay, come on over. And
with or without camera?
Pardon? I went with the camera because. Yeah. I knew that I'm from Toronto, or I'm from Montreal. I'm living in Toronto now. And I knew that like going all the way out there, it's not something that I can do every day, you know? And so might as well bring a camera, see what this is all about, record some stuff, and then go from there. And that footage actually made it into the film. It's the very first stuff that I shot. It's still in the movie. And after watching the event, the room was so electric and everything was it was like everyone was so into it. It was so exciting. And the sport actually seemed to work. Like these people weren't doing it for a joke, you know, like they were actually, they had trained really hard to play chess properly and to fight, and they knew what they were doing. And it was exhilarating. So
but when you watch, when you watch the documentary, you also feel there is a struggle between the creative part and the business part of the sport. Yeah.
Well, that's something fascinating too, is that, you know, what I haven't said so far is that Ipe is actually a performance artist. And so he didn't come at this. He was always into sports. I think he was a table tennis champion or something in like his young age. And he's always doing some sort of sports. But he
was an amazing artist.
Yeah, he came at it from a performance art perspective. He thought like, oh, this would be really cool to do, because the idea for chess boxing came from a comic book. There's a French graphic novelist named Enki Bilal who is fairly well known in Europe, and he just put this idea of chess boxing in this comic book of his, this futuristic world where to determine the smartest, strongest man in the world, they did it through this chess boxing match. And Ipa had read this as a kid, and then when he got older, he was like started doing boxing for fun, and he thought, you know what, this would be really cool to do as like as a performance art. Let's just make this happen. And so he fought his friend Jean-Louis Vincent, who was also Dutchman, and they got into the ring and they put on this performance, and people came thinking that it was actual world championships of chess boxing. They didn't know that it was art. Some people, you know, they just came, it wasn't advertised as this art performance, and people loved it, and the media loved it, and it was just such this amazing thing that he was like, you know what, and training for it was so hard, he was like, this could be a real sport. And so he started pushing it as sport, but he always had this idea that it's art in the background, and so he was always trying to kind of push it as both as an artwork and as a sport. And so there's this tension in the film, and that like Ipa's trying to figure out for himself, you know, is it art? Is it sport? Can it be something that he puts out into the world and just kind of grows on its own, and he builds the artwork at the same time? And it's this fascinating
you get
thing.
the public engaged, because like the fighting part is really exciting to see, but maybe the chess isn't. So how do you do that? But they also have people who like, as it's been picked up, the sport has been picked up around the world by other people who don't see it as art, they just see it as sport, and this is a really cool thing that they want to do, and have been also pushing it in different ways to get, like, you know, the audience engaged during the chess. And so they have chess commentators who are really exciting and know how to speak about it in a way like you would about a sport, you know. And so they're like in London, there was this guy named Malcolm Payne who was a chess commentator for actual chess tournaments, and he runs a chess shop there. And he gave like these really fun, he'd be like, you know, he'd come up with sayings like a knight on the rim is dim, and like he gets the audience to like cheer and like get into it, and he explains all the different things that are happening in ways that people can understand, and makes it just exciting. And if you go to the events in London, you get people cheering not just during the boxing matches, but during the chess matches, the chess rounds, they sing chess, 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 you know, like they get really into it. And because
so
you also have a guy in London, Tim, who wants to start up the same kind of business, and that's like the struggle between the two.
So the film, that's what the film focuses on, is that in the early days of chess boxing, Ipa had brought it up to a certain point, and then he had financial troubles because of the financial crisis. He wasn't able, he was really good at getting sponsors, but once the financial crisis of 2008 hit, he wasn't able to get sponsors anymore, and he wasn't able to kind of push the sport. But meanwhile, this guy in London, Tim Woolger, had discovered chess boxing at one of Ipa's events, and he wanted to bring it to London, and he started doing these small events and built it up kind of more gradually, and built quite a following for it there, and got a lot of media attention. And so Ipa wanted to kind of like, he felt he was losing his baby a little bit, and wanted to, because he has a very distinct vision for chess boxing, and Tim also. And so the film is about them trying to kind of reconcile their ideas, and Ipa and Tim, in a way, act as metaphors for chess and boxing, because Ipa is a very calculating, strategic kind of minded person in how he approaches the development of the sport. And Tim is a lot more passionate and just flies by the seat of his pants, and is like more of the boxing heart of the film. And so the chess and boxing that they're trying to marry together, it's them as well who are trying to get married together and make it work. And so there's this kind of second layer to the film that
you kind of
truly
feel
what
like
the film is about.
They both have to pay a big price, actually, for the sport.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want to give anything away, but as the film goes on, like their struggle, they each have their own personal struggles.
Yes.
And the film is really more about that. It's about the passion and giving everything you have to this thing that some people think is crazy, but having the energy and the excitement and the passion to bring it to other people and make it work and have it be this expression of yourself, and how that can damage your personal life as well, and your, you know. So
and you already mentioned before that it's special that the film festival is in Rotterdam, and Ipa is born and raised in Rotterdam, but unfortunately he died. Did he have the chance to see the documentary like all finished?
Unfortunately, no. That was like a big regret of mine, is that he passed away last year. May of 2020, and I was literally like maybe a month away from finishing the film or finishing the bulk of the film, and would have been able to show him something. And you know, we would speak every now and then, like when I had things to film, but I hadn't been there for a while, and we, you know, be casually in touch. But I didn't want to show him the film until it was ready. And then, you know, he passed away. We don't even know why. It's still a mystery. It wasn't COVID. It wasn't. We don't know. So really, real tragedy. Real shock to everyone. And yeah, it's real regret of mine that that he won't get to see it. But his friend, I've showed it to his friends, his close friends, and they really enjoyed it. Felt very appreciative that the film had been made, and felt like it was a, you know, story that was told in the correct way, you know.
Yeah. So we want to honor IPA on our festival as well by showing this movie, and I want to really thank you for your time, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to have it play there, and I hope people enjoy it. And yeah, thank you again.